highway stretched out before him, an endless ribbon of asphalt disappearing into the inky blackness of the night. James, a seasoned long-haul trucker, had driven these lonely roads countless times, but tonight was different. The air was heavy with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rumble of his rig's engine. As he navigated the desolate highway, James couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. His dashboard lights cast an eerie glow on the cab's interior, revealing the worn-out seat, the empty passenger side, and the dimly lit gadgets. He glanced at the rearview mirror, and for a split second, he thought he saw a shadowy figure in the back. But when he turned to look, there was nothing there. Shrugging off the unease, he reached for the thermos of coffee on the passenger seat and took a long sip. He needed to stay alert on these long, monotonous drives. The caffeine provided a fleeting sense of comfort, but it couldn't dispel the sense of foreboding that had settled over him. The road twisted and turned, winding through a thick forest on either side. The trees seemed to close in on him, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. James couldn't help but think of the stories he'd heard from other truckers about this stretch of road. They spoke of strange occurrences, of ghostly apparitions that appeared in the middle of the night and disappeared just as quickly. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life, static filling the cab. James frowned, his grip tightening on the steering wheel. The radio had been working perfectly just moments ago. He adjusted the dial, searching for a clear signal. Through the interference, he heard a voice, soft and distorted. "Turn back," the voice whispered, sending a shiver down his spine. "Turn back now." James tried to shake off the eerie message. It was probably just some prank, he thought. But as he continued down the highway, the sense of dread intensified. The road seemed to stretch on endlessly, with no signs of civilization in sight. Then, in the distance, he saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. Panic surged through him as he hit the brakes, bringing the massive rig to a screeching halt. The figure, a woman in a tattered white dress, turned to face him. Her eyes were empty, void of emotion. "What the hell?" James muttered, his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't know what to do. Should he get out of the truck? Should he call for help? He reached for his phone, but there was no signal. The woman began to approach the truck, her ghostly form swaying airily in the darkness. James slammed his foot on the gas pedal, desperate to get away from this strange, unsettling encounter. But as the truck whirred to life, the woman's image flickered and vanished, leaving him alone on the deserted highway. James drove for what felt like an eternity, the incident with the mysterious woman lingering in his mind. The desolation of the highway seemed to intensify, and he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being watched. He glanced at the rearview mirror again, but this time the cab was empty, and the unease in his gut deepened. As the miles rolled on, James couldn't escape the nagging doubt that he should have heeded the warning and turned back. The radio remained silent, the voice a distant memory, and he desperately searched for signs of civilization. Just when he thought he couldn't take it anymore, he saw a sign for a rest area up ahead. His relief washed over him as he pulled into the dimly lit rest area. A few other trucks were parked there, their drivers huddled inside, seeking respite from the night. James found a spot and killed the engine, stepping out of the truck with trembling legs. The air was heavy with an unsettling stillness. Inside the rest area building, a solitary attendant sat behind a counter, reading a tattered magazine. She looked up as James entered, her eyes hollow and distant. Without a word, she handed him a key to one of the small, dingy sleeping quarters. "Stay the night," she whispered, her voice barely audible, before returning to her magazine. James felt a chill run down his spine, but was too exhausted and unnerved to argue. He found his way to the sleeping quarters and locked the door behind him. The room was dimly lit with peeling wallpaper and a flickering fluorescent light overhead. He lay on the narrow bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, his mind racing. Just as he was about to drift off into a fitful sleep, he heard a soft, mournful wail coming from the hallway. It was the sound of the wind, or so he thought, until the wail turned into a haunting melody like an old, forgotten lullaby. Unable to resist his curiosity, James got up and cautiously opened the door. The eerie music led him down the narrow hallway, its source growing louder. He stopped in front of a closed door, behind which the melody emanated. It was the same room the attendant had come from. With trembling hands, he pushed the door open, revealing an empty room, bathed in a dim, otherworldly light. The source of the haunting melody was a music box on a dusty table, its key slowly turning on its own. James took a step closer, his heart pounding. As he reached for the music box, the room's temperature plummeted, and the air grew thick with a malevolent presence. In the reflection of the music box's glass, he saw a horrifying sight, a faceless, ghastly figure standing right behind him. James turned to flee, but the door slammed shut, trapping him in the room. The faceless entity reached out with bony, cold fingers, and James let out a scream that echoed through the night. Outside, the other truckers heard his cry but dared not investigate. They knew the legends of this highway, the stories of truckers who disappeared without a trace, leaving only whispers of their fate behind. As the night stretched on, James's truck remained parked at the rest area, a silent sentinel on the desolate highway, and his story became just another chilling tale of the haunted road, forever lost.